said about the sort of the protocol for someone pitching a cold, hey, can you read my script? Hey, can you help me with my book so I can turn it into? That we should, quote, build a bridge instead of ask. And I'm curious, what is bridge building? How is this done?
Yeah, I think, one of my big analogies is about, I call it being professionally homeless. If I walk up to or see a homeless person on the street and they ask me for money, I might give money, but that all depends on my mood. Do I have money? Am I in a hurry? It depends on a lot of different factors, right? But if I said to you, or somebody said to me in this instance, my friend John, who I went to college with, who's really amazing, is now homeless, and he actually lives in your neighborhood, and you're going to see him today, probably, and at least say hello. You don't have to give him anything, but he's a really amazing guy. Like, exponentially changes my response to that person completely and totally. I will be then open, maybe I'll give money, I'll spend a little time. There's a bridge that's been built between me and that person. And I think that's what we really need to focus on when we talk about and think about networking. It's not just about getting stuff, right? It's really about how can I build a bridge of my personality, my energy, my thoughts, my feelings. Then I think I'm more likely, and I think lots and lots of people are more likely to eventually sort of entertain a professional ask. If I know you, or if you know me, then it's easier to say, hey, I would love some advice about such and such, or I'm trying to blah, 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 or, do you happen to know anybody over here because I've applied for a thing and would you put in a word for me? Like, that may happen if we built a relationship. It's going to be really hard to connect you, if you're a stranger, to somebody I know really well, because I don't know you. It's a risk, right? And so it's really about, I think that's what networking is, whether it's, however it is, whether it's through an agent or manager, or just through like having coffee with somebody several times, to become more familiar, user-friendly. I think that's the way of the industry. It's a very social industry. It's not just about an exchange of material or exchange of ideas. It's really about building that bridge and getting to know people and letting them get to know you.
Do you think people, though, in other parts of either the world or the country, they don't realize, New York and LA, it's going to be less chummy and familiar than if you're like in a different, even part of California, where you could just probably see someone at the grocery store and strike up a conversation, and it's going to flow much differently than when you're in LA, because you're going to be like, ooh, they want something from me. What are they going to ask me?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, I don't know, I think it's different in terms of the ease of that, but I also think it's similar in terms of the fact that people like to be approached as people, that it's really more about an exchange of ideas or a conversation than it is about gimme, 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 gimme. You can help me, give me this, give me that, I need, it's like, I think we all get tired of that, and even if we're in the mood to give, how many times, I get a lot of, because I like to do charitable giving, particularly at holiday time, I get a lot of things all year long from some of the same charities. I'm not going to give every time I get an envelope. It can't just be like, we need. I know you need. I totally get that, and I'm not dismissing the notion of that. But I do think that the personal relationship can change everything, and not in a manipulative way, but in a life-giving way. Why can't we have lunch and coffee and, see each other at a movie screening and, those sorts of things, be in a writing group together and, and then down the line, exchange ideas or exchange scripts or that sort of thing. I think it really makes a huge difference. And it's a long game. It's not just about, I need it now. It's a long game. And so we have to, I think, being in that process, that long game process of networking, I think it's a good thing. How
does a writer build a lasting career in this industry?
I think that it's a really good question. So the first thing is I want to say that I'm super grateful to have been around and working for more than a decade, and maybe that's already a lasting career. So I don't know that I'm the expert on the, I'll give you my thoughts, and I look forward to being around a long time, and who knows, ask Mel Brooks or somebody ask some legend who's been working in the industry for 60 years. But I think one way you do it is by being user-friendly. It's like, especially in the space of writers' rooms, we in writers' rooms spend, 8-10 hours a day together for 6 months or more. And so those meetings when you meet with showrunners and other writers and producers, they really want to know, at that point, they know that you're a good writer, but it's like, are you fun to be around? Are you good conversationalists? What are your ideas like? Are you needy? Are you funny? Are you friendly? Are you kind? Are you open? Are you human? And I think those things that people want to know about writers' rooms are the things people want to know in general. I've definitely gotten work from producers I met, 6-8 years ago because they remember having a great conversation with me. And then it's easier to make that connection with perhaps my agent or my manager, or I run into them and they say, oh my God, we've got this thing and I was thinking blah, 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 you'd be perfect for, it's that. It's being user-friendly and being a human being. And also recognizing that I think, the whole thing about the industry is to find your peeps. Not everybody loves me. Not everybody loves my work. Not everybody loves me. And that's going to be the same for everybody out there. We all have to be willing to say, these folks who really get me, I'm going to lean into them. And these folks who don't get me, it's okay. I can't expect everybody to get me. I don't get everybody. In the same way that I can't expect to love everything on TV, I don't love everything on TV. So why should I expect everybody who makes TV to love the things that I make? It's just not logical. So all of that, being grounded, being user-friendly, and showing up as you for the people who dig you. I think that's what it's about.
That's great. And I love, too, what you said, I think, on the Secret Writer podcast, and it was something about how when you do get into a discussion and it does get serious, that to be bold but balanced. I thought that was really well put. I like that.
Thank you.
Especially in this day and age where it's very, we all have to choose our words very carefully.
Yes,
and we don't even realize maybe we're offending someone and we didn't mean to.
Right.
Or it could just be, by the nature of who we are, we're seen as offensive and we don't mean to, we're not trying to do that. It's just very delicate today.
Yeah, it can be, yeah.
So,
and I think a lot of that we can manage by leaning into what we like. There's always that question, or sometimes in a writer's meeting for a show where somebody will say, okay, you saw this thing that we made, what would you have done differently? And it's really important I think, to language that in terms of, well, what I was interested in most was X, and I would have loved to see more of that X, more of the relationship between these characters or whatever, as opposed to, well, you didn't do blah, 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 and I didn't like such, It's just a matter of how you handle it. You can answer that question in a way that leans into what you love, and I feel like that's part of the opportunity there.
So, I like that because you're keeping it open. I'd like to know more instead of the finger pointing, you're bad. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
We need more of that in the world.
We do.
And online.
Yeah.